Hey cuties, what's up? We are back with some more Reactions After Dark, and we are of course going to be watching The Disturbing Internet Horrors of China Volume 3. Now I think this is the last, I know that this is the last Disturbing Internet Horrors of China on the Question channel. I think this was uploaded not too long ago, that's why, yeah, it was 13 days ago, so almost 2 weeks ago. But they also have a Japanese series, Korean series as well, so we could maybe check those out. Though we probably have heard those stories before, maybe Japan, I actually don't know. There probably could be some stuff there that I haven't heard about before. But yeah, I think we're just gonna get straight into this. No radical break, no hater segment today. I was thinking about doing, and I keep saying this every time over and over again, about doing the Marry My Husband video today by Stephanie, but I just can't bring myself to do it yet. I'm just not ready to sit there for 2 hours like that. So again, who knows when that will eventually happen. So we're defaulting down to finishing off the Horrors of China series by Question instead. And then we'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow or the day after that about doing it. But yeah, let's go ahead and just get straight into this. Again, love the intro. I love that sound that's being used here. Of course, we've already seen this 2 other times. Like the weird, it's not like weird, it's just like a bunch of disclaimers, but then he has like another disclaimer after this. Like spends like what, 40 seconds with those disclaimers, but then adds a second one after all that. Like it's just a clearer version. So of course, disclaimers, this video is intended for educational documentary purposes only. It does not promote, glorify, or show disrespect toward China, its people, or its culture. The events discussed are real cases that were widely reported and discussed online. They are presented only to document and analyze internet history. Disrespectful or prejudiced comments directed at China or its people will not be tolerated. Again, I'm assuming you just put this because of the first episode. Maybe there's something like that happening. Note for my Chinese viewers. I mean, it would be nice if this actually was translated, but of course they're not going to do that. I mean, I could see, let me see what I can do. I don't think I bothered with this last time, but I'll see about translating this. I don't have the translation. It's nothing important, but I'll put it up there anyways. I didn't realize it was that easy. You know, just, yeah, I took a picture of this, put in Google Translate, and it seems to come out perfectly because translation didn't seem to have any issues, but it's just, hello, dear Chinese viewers. First of all, I want to say sincerely, this video was made with absolutely no disrespect for China or the Chinese people whatsoever. It's purely for education and entertainment. Let's explore some interesting topics together and relax. There may be some minor translation errors in the video, as I am not a native speaker. Please forgive any inaccuracies and feel free to point them out. Continue to work hard to improve. Finally, I want to say loudly, I absolutely love all my Chinese viewers. Your support and feedback are my greatest motivation. Thank you for your continued support. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to leave or let me know in the comment sections, and let's discuss them together. Also, I'd love to hear any suggestions you might have for my next video. And that is what this says. Allegedly.
A lot of crimes are remembered because of how violent they are.
Okay, well, this is supposed to be the Hangzhou nanny case. There's another, do we have like another one that was about Hangzhou? So is this another Hangzhou area?
Some are remembered because of what they turn into afterward. June 22nd, 2017, early in the morning. A fire breaks out in an upscale apartment in Hangzhou, one of China's wealthiest cities. A mother and 3 children die. Their nanny becomes the prime suspect, and the husband becomes a public face of grief. And then just over 4 years, the internet does what it always does. It doesn't just mourn deaths, it investigates, and it completely rewrites stories, even if they're not true. And in China, this case became one of the most infamous examples of that transformation, because what started as a tragedy eventually turned into something much darker. A public obsession where grief, rage, censorship, and rumor all collided. Hangzhou, the capital of the Zhejiang province, a tech hub, a tourist destination, even home to Alibaba, and some of China's wealthiest families. In the Shenzhen district, one of the city's most expensive areas, lived a family of 5. Lin Xingbin, 34 years old, a businessman who ran a children's clothing brand, his wife, Zhu Xiaozhen, 34 years old, and their 3 children, a daughter, 11 years old, and 2 sons, ages 9 and 6. Their apartment was the 18th floor on a high-rise tower, with the market value over 20 million yuan, roughly $3 million at the time. This was the kind of place that required key cards, security guards, and property management. And just like many other urban families in their wealth bracket, they employed domestic help. Her name was Mo Huanjing, 35 years old, originally from Guangdong province in southern China. And she had been working as a live-in nanny for the Lin family since September 2016, about 9 months. She cooked, cleaned, and helped with the children. She had access to every room, every closet, and every drawer. And in China's rapidly growing upper middle class, this arrangement is very common. Migrant workers.
Okay, so this seems like it's going to be a long story. So they were saying that the nanny had did it, though I'm guessing this goes far beyond just, the nanny did it. Did the dad die? I don't think the dad died, right? It was just the mom and the kids.
Workers, often women from rural provinces, move to cities and take live-in positions in order to send money home. And in these positions, trust is just assumed. Background checks do happen, they are very minimal. Early in the morning, June 22nd, 2017, around 5
Do we actually have like a 3D render of their house?
a.m. Lin Xingbin is away on a business trip. His wife and 3 children are asleep in the apartment. Mo Huanjing is awake, and she's desperate. Just the night before, she lost 6,000 yuan, about $9,000 gambling online. This wasn't her first loss either, because over the previous months, she had stolen gold jewelry and watches from the Lin family, pawning them for 180,000 yuan, and she borrowed 114,000 yuan directly from Zhu Xiaozhen, her employer.
How did she just get away with stealing 26,000? And then she borrowed this, but how did she just get away with just stealing that? And they don't know that it's the nanny? Who else could it have been? Unless these are just things they don't care about enough to know that they're gone. Because of course you would suspect that the nanny if $26,000 worth of goods goes missing, question mark, and no one else has access to the house except her.
Claiming it was family emergencies and was promising to pay it back, but all of it actually went to gambling, and now she owes more than what she could ever repay. And she comes out with a plan, a desperate, horrifying plan. If she starts a small fire, and then heroically puts it out, maybe Zhu will be so grateful, she'll lend her more money, maybe she'll forgive the debts, and maybe everything will just reset. Around 5 a.m., Mo Huanjing takes a book from the living room, she lights it on fire, and the plan is to let it burn just a little, enough to seem dangerous, and then extinguish it quickly and play the hero.
Because, who all died here though? Is she gonna end up dying? Question mark. But how do we have this testimony of knowing exactly what she was thinking? If she didn't live.
But the fire doesn't cooperate with her plans. The flames spread faster than she expected. The book ignites the sofa then ignites the curtains, and within seconds the living room is engulfed. Mo panics. She tries to put it out by herself, but she can't. The smoke is too thick and the heat is too intense. So she runs. She escapes the apartment, leaving the door open behind her. But by her doing this, the open door acts like a chimney, feeding oxygen to the fire, accelerating its spread. But still inside, Zhu Xiaozhen and her 3 children are still sleeping. Okay,
so wife and children are there with her, but we're asleep.
Emergency calls start coming in. Multiple residents report smoke in the building. Fire alarms are sounding, and people in the neighboring units can see flames through their windows. Firefighters are dispatched immediately, but when they arrive at the complex, they encounter problems. The building's firefighting infrastructure is failing. Fire hydrants have low water pressure, inadequate to fight high-rise blaze, and the space reserved for fire engine parking has become overgrown with grass, making the soil too soft to support fire ladders. And some of the indoor hydrants are difficult to access, blocked, or poorly maintained. But
shouldn't they be making sure that this doesn't happen? Question mark. Is it oversight of the city, or just something that couldn't be helped? Question mark. And is it going to be some sort of M. Night Shyamalan twist where the husband actually wanted her to get rid of his wife and kids or something? And it wasn't actually her trying to get out of debt or seem like some sort of hero. No, to then get out of debt by getting money.
Regardless, the fire department finds the blades as best as they can, but the apartment is on the 18th floor and smoke is thick. The layout is complex, and they're actively working against time and failing infrastructure. It takes over 2 hours to locate the victims. And when firefighters finally reach the master bedroom, they find all 4, Zhu Xiaozhen and her 3 children, all unconscious, all dead from carbon monoxide poisoning, asphyxiation from smoke inhalation, and they never made it outside of the bedroom. News of the fire spreads instantly, and within hours the hashtag Hangzhou nanny sets apartment on fire is trending on Weibo, and by the end of the day, It has generated over 400 million views and over 267,000 comments.
Everyone just instantly knew what had happened.
And at first, the public reaction isn't only about Mo Huanjing. It's actually about what happens in these high-rise disasters everywhere, their response time, and building safety systems. And people were desperate to know, why were the fire hydrants non-functional? Why was the parking area unsuitable for any emergency vehicles? And could this family have been saved if the building had been properly maintained?
It kind of makes me not want to live in a high-rise, question mark. Which you can be saying, like, well, how are you even going to get into one to begin with? I don't know. But if you know anything about what had happened at the end of last year, rich guy, millionaire, billionaire bought out a bunch of property downtown, which the apartments we were living in downtown got bought out, and then we're going to get destroyed. But I think they're going to be replaced with a high-rise, question mark. So they're just destroying apartments to put more apartments, which is kind of stupid and annoying. Kick a bunch of people to the curb out of their home that they've possibly been living in for a long time, if not their entire life. And it's like, oh yeah, goodbye, screw off. But then anyways, get the high rise there, and I would like to go back over there and try to get an apartment in the same location, just for weird nonsense reasons. Now, try to find an apartment that's placed in the exact same place that the one we were living in was at, so it's like almost like we never left, right? But if it's this bad, I don't think it'd be like really good, because we've seen other fire nonsense, right, with these tall apartment buildings, question mark. Though if it was the same spot, it would just be on the second floor. Like, try to get a second floor thing, then I guess it wouldn't really be that bad, right? You could easily just go down one floor to get out of there. But anyways, again, this makes it seem like, why would you ever live in a high-rise? If a fire breaks out, at least it seems like everyone's going to die because the firefighters can't get up there to put it out too quickly because the building's too dang big.
Lin Xingbin, the husband and father who was away when his family died, begins asking the same questions publicly. His voice is loud and clear, and it was impossible to ignore. Within days, police identify Mo Huanjing as a primary suspect. She's arrested, her phone is searched, and the evidence is damning. Search history for fire starting techniques. Search history asking if arson leads to prison. A confession that she lit the fire intentionally, planning to extinguish it quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if these are the actual texts that she was looking, but I can't really tell a lot from just looking at it in Chinese, because I don't know Chinese. I just know some Japanese, but you have symbol for fire in a lot of these, so I think this is actually searches for something to do with fire. So this little B-roll that they added is accurate, I guess, to some extent.
Fled the apartment. Evidence.
Yeah, because it's weird that he has like this phone that's like accurate to what's going on. The 3D render of the house, I'm guessing, unless this is just stuff that was online for this case. Like they were using this case, like the stuff for that case in China.
Over 180,000 won still in mission as she panicked when it spread too fast and fled the apartment. Evidence of the theft of over 180,000 won is stolen jewelry and watches, and the evidence of borrowing 114,000 won taken from Zhu Xiaozhen under false pretenses. And on December 21st, 2017, just 6 months after the fire, Mo's trial begins. She would plead guilty, express remorse, and would claim she never meant to hurt anyone, and she only wanted to create a situation where she could help and gain gratitude. And the court actually does acknowledge the safety failures, but it rules that those failures pale in comparison to Mo's direct actions. And on February 9th, 2018, Mo Huanjing is sentenced to death.
Whoa. I was not expecting that, but I guess technically her actions were evil to begin with, and they caused the death of 4 people, so, oof. Though this is only half of this story, so what could possibly happen in the next half?
And after this happens, Lin Xingbin posts on Weibo, "The devil, Mo Huanjing, is finally executed. We have waited too long for this day. It is a measure of comfort for Zhu Xiaozhen and the kids, souls in heaven." And for many people, that's where the legal story just ends. The case is closed finally. But culturally, the case was only just beginning.
That sounds weird. Again, I don't know if we're trying to suspect the husband or not.
After the fire, Xingbin becomes a public figure. He opens a Weibo account, and the username he chooses becomes iconic. "Wife and kids are in paradise." And to millions of people, it reads like the saddest sentence in the world. Lin uses the platform to document his grief, his legal battles, and his search for justice. He posts memorial photos, shares updates on the civil lawsuit against property management, and talks about his pain, his sleepless nights, his inability to move on. And he gains about 2.6 million followers, and then 4 million, and then 4.6 million.
Okay, he's getting a lot of clout, but is, again, this is being painted as like maybe he's evil.
And he quickly became the face of the case. A man who lost everything and refused to let the world forget. He sues 9 entities for civil compensation, seeking 130 million won, just about 20 million USD. He establishes a foundation dedicated to improving firefighting standards in China.
Okay, well that's good.
Donating to related causes, the child's safety and fire prevention.
Okay.
He gets a tattoo on his back, images of his wife and children, permanently inked into his skin. The public's
Okay, a lot of good stuff. I mean, the last thing is just for himself, but still, a lot of good things there. Maybe he's not a bad guy, it's just stuff that he happens to be doing after the fact.
sympathy is overwhelming. To the Chinese internet, Lin Xingbin is a tragic hero, a man channeling unbearable grief into activism, accountability, and memory.
Okay, the way that he just said, like, everyone thinks he's a hero makes it seem like, okay, he's not a hero and he was the one who did it.
For nearly 4 years, that image holds up, until 2021.
Holds up.
June 30th, 2021, Lin would post an announcement on Weibo. He is remarried, and he has a newborn daughter. Her name is Warmth in Chinese. And on paper, this shouldn't be shocking. People rebuild their lives. Grief doesn't freeze time forever.
Sure. But I didn't really catch what the child's name was. I think I need to slow this down. And like now it's going to sound like it's a slow motion.
Until 2021. June 30th, 2021, Lin would post an announcement on Weibo. He is remarried, and he has a newborn daughter. Her name is Warmth in Chinese.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like it says worth. I can't tell what he's saying exactly. It sounds like worth. This is Warren. I don't know if that's actually what's being said. I don't know.
People rebuild their lives. Grief doesn't freeze time forever. In 4 years, it's a long time to be alone. But the internet doesn't react with empathy, it reacted with pure rage. Because the man who just announced a new family is the same man whose public identity for 4 years had been fused to the tragedy. To the username, wife and kids are in paradise, to the tattoo of his dead family, to the foundation, the lawsuits, and the constant public mourning. And now, suddenly, there's a new wife, a new daughter, a name.
Okay, so is he actually not a bad guy? There's the internet is just horrible. That won't let him like try to move on. They want him to be miserable for the rest of his life.
That means Warmth, which to many feels grotesque, given that his previous children died in a fire. And the backlash is instant and brutal. Questions flood Weibo. When did he start dating his new wife? The timeline suggests about 2019, maybe earlier, while he was still posting grave content. Did he share the compensation money with his in-laws? He claims yes, but others claim no. Did he use his dead family's memory to build a profitable brand? His children's clothing business grew significantly, on the back of public sympathy. Was his grief pure performance? Was it really real? Or was it always about image, money, and moving on when it felt convenient?
Yeah, you can argue that some of those things were happening, but he also said that he was donating money, wasn't he? And he made but he made it a point to make safety stuff be better, right? Something like that for the firefighters and all that stuff. So is it fake, or is he just serious and he just happened to gain a lot of, I don't know, money and whatnot out of this, just happenstancely?
And what happened after June 2021 was a flood of reinterpretation. People went back through Lin's old posts, old photos, old timelines, trying to answer their own questions. Was the grief really real? Was the public image crafted? And was he monetizing tragedy? In July of 2021, Lin posted a response to the backlash, stating that he started dating his current partner in November of 2019, about
I don't know if he's going to read this. Whether Lin had treated Ju well or not, he knew very well. On the morning of June 22nd, 2017, around 5 a.m., Ju, with her children, faced the raging fire and sought refuge in the last room not yet engulfed by flames. In despair, Ju called her husband, Lin, for help, but his phone was switched off. Ju died without calling her husband one last time. And her 3 children died without calling out dad one last time. Who is writing this? Question mark. Because this is saying that they were awake during the fire. Whereas earlier we were saying they probably just died of carbon monoxide poisoning, right, while they were asleep. But this is saying, oh no, they were awake and burned to death. Alive. In an interview, Lin claimed his phone was on silent, that he hadn't heard the call, that he checked on his child before bed, that he chatted with Ju until after 11 that night, a testament to his great fatherly love and devoted husband. But he told a colossal lie His phone was switched off at 10 on June 21st and turned back on around 6:40 a.m. the next morning. Either it was out of battery or he deliberately turned it off. Does he dare deny it? I have solid evidence. The day before the tragedy, June 21st, his current wife desperately called him for help, but didn't call her. At all, yes. I have solid evidence. So there's some sort of random person saying, hey, I have evidence that she called him whilst they were essentially going to burn to death, and that he's explicitly ignored it with his phone being turned off. Are they implying, assuming there isn't more foul play here of like having the maid do it for him, is the implication that he was cheating with his new wife back then, and that's why his phone was off, so that his current wife wouldn't interrupt him while he was with his Sancha or whatever? Question mark. Is that what they're trying to get at?
2.5 years after the fire, his new daughter was conceived in the summer of 2020, unplanned according to him, and by the time he announced the birth in June of 2021, the baby was already born and everyone learned about it all at once. But the internet still wasn't buying it. There were photos allegedly showing Lin with his new partner as early as 2018, and if those photos are real, that means he was dating, maybe even living with someone new, while still posting grave content daily, while still using "wife and kids are in paradise" as his username, while still accepting public sympathy and donations. And critics started connecting the dots. His children's clothing brand had grown significantly in the years after the fire. He had positioned himself as a grieving father, built a foundation, accepted support from strangers who believed they were helping a broken man. And all the while, he may have been planning a new family in private, with many still alleging that he never shared the compensation money with Zhu Xiaojian's parents, as he once promised. And again, the baby's name, being Warmth, intentional or not, felt extremely grotesque. And that's when the real anger crystallized. For 4 years, Lin's entire public persona had been a grieving father who lost everything. The tattoo, the username, the foundation, the post, all of it built on that image. And now, that image no longer matched reality, people felt deceived, used, manipulated. And meanwhile, Chinese authorities began cracking down on the controversy. Keywords like Lin Shengbin, Hangzhou nanny case, and remarriage were heavily censored on Weibo and other platforms. Posts accusing Lin were deleted en masse. The censorship had a predictable effect, but it didn't calm people down, it just made them more suspicious. Throughout all those rumors, here's the truth that's easy to lose in all of this. At the center of this case are the people who died. Zhu Xiaojun, 34 years old, a mother, a wife, her daughter, 11 years old, her son, 9 years old, and her youngest son, just 6 years old. They didn't ask to become symbols. They didn't ask for their deaths to be dissected by millions of strangers online. They didn't ask for the conspiracy theories, but it's exactly what happened. Because online, some people wanted justice, some people wanted closure, and some just wanted a villain they can keep blaming forever. Lin Shengbin went from a hero to a villain in the span of a single Weibo post. The same people who praised him back in 2017 condemned him in 2021. The same grief that made him sympathetic became the weapon used against him. And still to this day, many people still ask the question, was he genuine? Was he manipulative? Did he really love his family? Or did he just exploit their deaths? We still don't know, and probably never will. And the case itself is unsettling not just because of the tragedy behind it, but because it was a case that transformed from a tragedy to a complete conspiracy online. Even after the fire ended, the story still didn't.
Okay, so it wasn't even anything crazy like, oh, he asked the nanny to do it, or maybe he was cheating on his wife the night of. It was just he got a new wife and they're starting a new family. That's everyone just mad that he didn't stay alone and potentially miserable forever. I mean, that's the opposite end. The other end is like, maybe he should have like waited longer. Question mark, and not did the whole grieving thing online. I don't know, but again, allegedly donated to stuff, made it a point to make, get safety up to code, question mark, allegedly again, and of course the tattoo, allegedly. Though, I mean, getting something painful and permanent applied to your body does seem to be like a serious gesture. You could say it's performative, but are you going to do something that's going to like permanently modify your body like that and have to suffer to do it on top of that? Because if he has a new wife and child, that wife, every time she looks at his back, she has to see see his ex-wife and children on his back, question mark. So if he did do that, then he's he has to deal with, like, any partner that he ends up with having to see that, and I guess just be okay with it, which apparently this woman is okay with it. So I don't know. No, again, like, he's trying to say, in all this noise of conspiracy of what's going on, like, you're losing sight of the fact that 4 people died. So it's like, stop, thinking like about what he's doing is wrong, or what's going on, or some sort of conspiracy. It's like, 4 people died. Be sad about that. Leave everything else alone. The Shenzhen sinkhole. Would it be Shenzhen sinkhole? I don't like sinkholes because I hate holes where they don't belong, aka tryptophobia. I hate holes. I don't want to sink a sinkhole. I hate sinkholes. It's gross. Which I know that probably sounds weird to say, hey, sinkholes are gross, but it's just because if you don't like holes where they don't belong, it's going to be gross to you.
Concrete underneath your feet. Steel and glass rising above you. Millions of people living and working in towers built on what seems like unshakable ground. But beneath every sidewalk, every street, and every building foundation, there's something you can't see. Layers of earth, underground rivers, construction voids, and tunnels being dug in the dark. There are systems you trust without even thinking about it, until the moment they fail. March 27th, 2013, evening, Fushan District, Shenzhen, China. Guangdong Province. Fushan is one of the busiest parts of the city. The central business district, where office towers cluster together and sidewalks never really empty. Even late in the evening, people are still moving. Commuters heading toward the metro, security guards finishing shifts, and shop workers closing up for the night. Near Hangzhou Mansion, a residential and commercial complex on a major street, the day is winding down like any other. The street lights are on, traffic hums, and the pavement is clean, solid, and unremarkable. It was a sidewalk he walked across thousands of times, without thinking twice. Yang Xiaobin, 25 years old, is walking home. He works as a security guard, just one of the millions of young men in China's cities who take night shifts, wear uniforms, watch the buildings, and save money to send back to family in smaller towns. It was routine work, steady pay, nothing glamorous. And he's walking along the sidewalk outside Hangzhou Mansion, maybe thinking about dinner, maybe checking his phone, or he's just tired after a long shift. He has no reason to think that the ground beneath his feet is about to disappear. In 1 second, Yang Xiaobin is walking.
Oh, there it is.
Not a crack or gradual sinking, a sudden complete collapse like a trapdoor opening beneath his feet. He drops straight down a void that wasn't there a moment before. The sound, later described by witnesses, is like concrete tearing, a deep crunch, and then nothing. Just an empty hole where a man had been walking.
Is it okay to show him falling into the hole? Because isn't that just you seeing the last moments of someone dying before they die?
3 seconds. And people nearby freeze, some running toward the hole, others back away, afraid the ground might give out beneath them too. People shout for help, and others are already dialing emergency services with their hands shaking. The sidewalk was just there, and now it isn't. And now someone they just saw walking is completely gone. When responders arrived and looked into the hole, they saw darkness. Many reports gave out different measurements, but they could all agree on just one thing. It was deep, very deep. Some outlets reported the sinkhole was approximately 16 meters deep, about 52 feet. Others said it was closer to 20 meters, roughly 65 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty far down there. It's just in all of the stuff falling or sinking down, did any of it like stack on top of him? Because he's obviously on top, but even so, it could just like slowly have fallen, I guess, slower than him, or he just ends up just landing down there on top of everything, but then it just keeps sinking, and then he sinks faster than everything else. So he ends up buried, even though he was on top of everything to begin with. So I don't know if he's going to end up being alive or not. Because the way he's talking, it doesn't like really say either way. Like, I don't know if he's using much past tense or just using words that would imply someone's gone, so I can't tell from the words that he's using if he's died down there or not.
And that's the equivalent of a 4 to 5 story building straight down. And the hole itself is about 5 meters wide across, roughly 16 feet. Yang had fallen into a vertical shaft in the earth, deeper than what most people will ever stand above ground level. And somehow, he was still alive down there. He didn't fall cleanly to the bottom. Different reports suggest that he landed against the debris and uneven surfaces inside the shaft pipes, the broken concrete, and accumulated material from the construction void was enough to break his fall partially. Just enough to keep him alive, but not enough to save him from catastrophic injuries. Emergency crews responded immediately. Firefighters and paramedics blocked off the area. They brought in equipment and began the extraction. But pulling someone out of a sinkhole that deep isn't simple. You need ropes, harnesses, stabilization gear. And you need to make sure the walls of the hole won't collapse further. And you need to work fast because time matters. Injuries shock. and the possibility of a second collapse. The response unfolded over minutes. Within hours, after what must have felt like an eternity for anyone watching, he was finally pulled out. Alive and conscious, he was rushed immediately to the hospital. Responders working on him in the ambulance did everything they could, but the injuries from a fall that deep, the impact, the internal trauma, the broken bones, and the eternal bleeding were just too severe. Yang Xiaobin died at the hospital later that day.
Oof. Man, they still got him out of there, but he still died anyways. It sucks.
So what exactly happened? How does a sidewalk in the middle of a major city just disappear?
I mean, isn't it just the standard sinkholes? It's like, it just happens, you know? Maybe, I mean, I'm going to sound like possibly dumb, but like, I don't know, tectonic plates just shift, and they shift enough that a hole is created. I don't know. I feel like a lot of sinkholes, it's not anyone's fault. Maybe this one's is someone's fault, but I just automatically assume that the earth can just open up like this if the right conditions are met with how the earth just works. And it's shifting around, constantly shifting around and whatnot. A hole will just eventually be made.
Most consistent.
So it's like, you're never safe. You're never safe anywhere. You could just fall into a hole at any moment.
What exactly happened? How does a sidewalk in the middle of a major city just disappear? The most consistent explanation from authorities and press reports pointed to one thing. It was nearby construction activity. In 2013, Shenzhen was and still is a city in constant construction. Subway lines being extended, utility tunnels being dug, foundation work for new high-rises. The ground beneath the city is a network of tunnels, pipes, and voids, with new ones being carved out constantly. And residents near Hangzhou Mansion have been complaining for weeks about tremors, vibrations from a nearby construction site that would rattle windows and shake floors. And what likely happened, according to the investigation that followed, was this: underground construction, possibly subway tunneling, or utility work had destabilized the soil beneath the street. Water may have seeped in, washing away the earth and creating a hidden void. And the pavement above was held up by nothing but a thin shell of concrete and asphalt. And when Yang walked over that exact spot, the shell gave way. After Yang's death, authorities moved quickly to secure the site. Sandbags were brought in to fill the hole. Engineers inspected the surrounding area for any other potential collapses. Investigations were opened. And after an investigation, no one was really held accountable. There was no fines or criminal charges. And it just seemed like a freak accident. But for Yang's family, the questions never stopped. How could a 25-year-old walking home from work simply just vanish into the earth? How could the ground you walk on every day, the foundation of a modern city, just cease to exist beneath your feet?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think at any moment, anywhere on the planet, a hole can open up. And doesn't really mean there's any man-made reasons why it would happen. It's just, you know, the Earth's just moving around, and sometimes it wants to make a hole. Though this question mark could have been someone's fault. I know they say that they're not going to blame it on anyone, but this one could have been because of man-made reasons.
Shenzhen has continued to grow since 2013. More tunnels being carved beneath streets as we speak. And the sinkhole that swallowed Yang has been filled and paved over. You could walk across that spot today and never know. But now the
Did they put a memorial there?
footage remains. A few seconds of grainy CCTV that millions of people have watched, shared, and tried to make sense of. And it gives you a very unsettling thought that the ground beneath your feet isn't as solid as you think. And sometimes, even if it's extremely rare, it will disappear without warning. And now, every night, in Fushan District, thousands of people walk that same sidewalk where Yang died, not knowing the tragedy that had unfolded just years earlier.
You know, I would hope there would be some sort of memorial or something on the ground saying, no, in memory of so-and-so who died in the sinkhole here. But maybe there's some sort of logistics of not wanting to do that, because people will see it and be like, oh, I don't want to walk here, or I don't want to go into this building because it looked like it was in front of a door. And then they're going to get bad business. So, you know, capitalism, whatever, causes them to not give him a in memory in that spot. But I feel like they should have like little plaque on the ground. Robo-taxi accident. Robo-taxi. They got robo-taxis already? I'm assuming that's a self-driving taxi. Though, over here, allegedly, where I live, self-driving Ubers are going to be a thing starting this year, so...
China is racing to own the future of transportation. Across the country, autonomous vehicles navigate city streets. Robo-taxis pick up passengers with no one behind the wheel. Companies backed by billions in government funding compete to be first, to be the fastest, to dominate the global market, with a target date of mass production by the end of 2026. But in August of 2025, a company called Hello Inc. launched robo-taxi service in Zhuzhou, a mid-sized city in Hunan province, and 20 white autonomous vehicles started picking up passengers. There was no test drivers, no safety operators. It was just you, a smartphone app, and a built-in algorithm. And for 4 months, It worked. 70,000 kilometers with 0 accidents. But on December 6, 2025, at approximately 9 a.m., a rainy Friday morning, that's when it all went wrong. Yangzhou Road, morning rush hour. Rain coming down hard enough to make the pavement slick. A white robo-taxi vehicle travels southbound through an intersection. It's a Baidu Apollo, and it's a level 4 autonomous, meaning it handles everything on its own. The steering wheel can move by itself, meaning there's no one there to grab it if something goes wrong. The entire thing relies on cameras, sensors, and AI. And meanwhile, at the crosswalk ahead, 2 pedestrians are crossing. One's on an electric bicycle, a common sight in any Chinese city. The cyclist hits a wet patch and the bike slips, and they go down hard, right in the robo-taxi's path. And because there's no one inside the car, the robo-taxi keeps going. It doesn't brake, it can't swerve out of the way, and it can't even slow down. And it would run over the fallen cyclist and traps them underneath the car.
Why wouldn't it stop knowing there's something obstructing its path, though? Question mark. That's a weird, like, hiccup in the AI to be like, hey, there's something in my way. I need to stop until it's out of my way. They're just like, oh no, we're just gonna run them over. Question mark. Wasn't some sort of, what's the thing proposed with AI? I think it's more so like with AI cars. Like, do you run over like an old person, or I say old person, but like, does an AI car run over a person in front of it to save the person inside, or does it crash itself to kill the person inside the car to save the person in the street? Like, what is the dilemma there? The self-driving dilemma? Or that's how nitty-gritty do you want it to get? Like, is there a person who is young inside the car and someone old outside the car? Then does it take the life of the old person because the old person's old, and you preserve the life of the younger person? Again, like, how nitty-gritty do you want to get?
The second pedestrian gets hit nearby. People start screaming. Bystanders run over. Someone's underneath the car, bleeding, a helmet barely protecting their head. And quickly a crowd forms and physically lifts the vehicle to pull the victim out. And by around 10 a.m., police and ambulance arrive. Both victims get rushed to the ICU. China just had its first major robo-taxi accident, and there's no one there to arrest, nobody to question, nobody sitting in the car when it happened. And how these things work is that they have a camera that gives it a 360-degree vision. LiDAR maps everything around it using lasers. Radar tracks speed and distance. And all of that feeds into Baidu's AI, which makes every decision about when to go, when to stop, and when to turn. And the thing is, there's supposed to be a backup human operator watching remotely from a control center, and they can take over if something goes wrong. But on December 6th, nobody took over. And what really happened to the vehicle, and the reason why I couldn't see the pedestrian, was because in heavy rain, it breaks the robot vision. Water on the cameras mean the AI can't see clearly. Raindrops start to look like obstacles. Reflections on wet pavement confuse object recognition. And if the system was trained on mostly sunny days, it struggles when weather gets bad.
Isn't it like a major oversight that they're clearly going to get sued for if this guy lives? Like, really, all it takes is a little bit of water, and all of a sudden this thing just running people over? Hello? Question mark? That's all it takes. A little bit of rain, a little bit of drizzle, and they go rogue. What? How is that allowed? How is it? Like, how do they let that pass through?
And if the system was trained on mostly sunny days, it struggles when weather gets bad. LiDAR doesn't handle rain well either. Raindrops scatter the lasers. Heavy rain practically just blinds the sensors. And that's exactly what happened with the cyclist. They were up
So stupid.
And on the ground the next. And when the person fell, they went from a standing human to a low object on wet pavement. And Hello Inc. hasn't said anything. Nobody knows if the AI didn't recognize it as a person. And again, AI is only as good as its data. If you miss even...
And do we need, like, AI robots inside? Like, we're gone too far. We're too many steps ahead. We need a robot humanoid in the driver's seat, driving the car, with eyeball cameras. I'm pretty sure that would have done better than just AI controlling the entire car.
One thing, and guesses blind. And on December 6th, it guessed wrong. Videos hit Chinese social media within just hours. People filmed the rescue, the chaos, the victim trapped underneath the car with nobody inside. Hello Inc. would eventually put out a statement, stating that they were cooperating with the investigation, and that's really it. They didn't explain what failed, and they never gave a timeline for when they would come back. And what happened immediately, so they pulled every robo-taxi off the road, suspending it indefinitely. And here's the part that's even scarier. December 6th wasn't Hello's first accident. 8 days earlier, on November 28th, another Hello robo-taxi hit a car and kept driving for about 200 meters before stopping. Luckily, nobody got injured, and it barely had any media coverage at all. And it once again showed that the AI wasn't good at making decisions, even before the major crash. And it wasn't just Hello Inc. either. 2025 itself was a bad year for Chinese autonomous vehicles. A Xiaomi SU7 using assisted driving killed 3 students. that one sparking national outrage. And the year itself left a lot of people just wondering if the technology was just moving too fast. And on Weibo, people started asking uncomfortable questions. Who's responsible when nobody's driving?
It doesn't make any sense that they should even be using it. Again, like the whole rain thing. How is that even allowed on the road if a little bit of rain completely just destroys any sort of intelligence that the car has? It doesn't make any sense. We just need to put robots in there instead of giving the car AI. Just say, put AI in the robot and have the robot manually drive the car. Question mark. There's something else I wanted to say, though. You could play devil's advocate and say, well, how many people, actual humans, have car accidents in X amount of time, right? Because we just discussed 3 accidents for the AI, but how many human-based accidents happen in that amount of time? You could argue, well, it's just normal to have that many accidents, but I don't know. Also, I'm just noticing this is in Korean, question mark. Isn't this in China? So I guess it's just a Korean news report on what happened in China, question mark.
What happens if my robo-taxi hits someone? Can you even sue an algorithm? Videos of the accident kept circulating. Comments started to pile up. Debates
Well, I mean, you sue the company.
would even get heated. But then, posts started disappearing. But the censorship actually backfired. International media picked it up very quickly, with many people criticizing
I'm guessing that's why
safety standards.
it's in Korean here.
Back to the question, can you really rely on AI to make the right decision?
Meh.
And at the end, the victims are still recovering. Hello Inc. and other companies are still trying to fix their issues. That the road ahead is still bumpy for AI.
Okay, so I'm guessing the guy lives, which means he should sue for millions, if not billions.
That technology can easily fail. Sensors fail, the AI fails. And unfortunately, 2 people paid the price.
The abandoned laboratory.
Deep in the corners of the Chinese internet, there are still stories that keep people awake at night. Stories that blur the line between fiction and horrifying reality. One of those stories exists on Bilibili, a video that was partially censored that sparked massive controversy and left thousands of viewers questioning what really happened in an abandoned underground facility. In April 2023, a Chinese urban explorer known as Urban Scraps uploaded a video to Bilibili that was shocked the platform.
I'm wondering if I've seen this before.
What appeared at an abandoned underground laboratory. The beginning of the video starts somewhat mundane. The explorer, Zhao Lu, enters a dark, flooded concrete space. Water covers the floor, its depth just about ankle deep, and the air is described as surprisingly fresh, despite the sealed environment. But as Zhao Lu ventures deeper, the atmosphere in the video shifts dramatically.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's a weird chandelier there, whatever that gurney thing was. I don't think it was a gurney, but
Scattered medical supplies litter the corridors, and then he comes across bones,
maybe it is.
leg bones, complete skeletal remains just abandoned down these corridors. And in the video, this wasn't even the most disturbing discovery. Around the timestamp of 3:12 in the video, Zhao Lu discovers something that would haunt the viewers watching. A large pool, now empty.
Wait, are you allowed to show this? I have seen this. I think everybody and their grandma has seen this. Like people talking about this guy exploring some sort of building with goo that allegedly had the remains of a bunch of people, potentially even kids in it. So whenever you see this bath, it's always censored, question mark. So I guess that's just for their own sake. So I don't know why we're looking this. I'm hoping there's nothing in here.
Empty, but a horrifying history documented in earlier footage by other explorers. According to the comments and reports from other people who had visited the site before Urban Scraps, the pool had once contained something unspeakable: the bodies of infants, preserved in a formaldehyde solution. Another explorer who had filmed that location earlier described the scene in graphic detail. The pool was full of baby corpses, some rotted.
Okay, so this is what other people are saying. Or did they just make that up? Because every time I've seen this pool, it's been censored. So I don't know if this is the original guy or this is some other person who's done it after the original guy. I mean, the original guy was the one who's seen the corpses in the pool, but then after that, they got removed.
Beyond recognition. Some with bones showing, and some fresh. And by the time Urban Scraps arrived, the pool had been emptied, the contents removed, but the question still remained. The comment section of the video exploded in chaos, with thousands of users trying to piece together what this place actually was. And throughout that, several theories emerged. Many people believe this was just an abandoned medical school laboratory, where cadavers and specimens were used for study. Some people even compared it to the infamous Japanese biological warfare unit that conducted horrific human experiments in China during World War
Yeah, somewhere in this text, someone said, "What Japan left behind?" Question mark. I saw that.
II. But regardless of what people are thinking, things would get worse as multiple commenters even claimed that earlier explorers would film the site with uncensored footage showing the pool still containing the infant remains were taken away for tea, which is a Chinese euphemism for being detained and questioned by authorities, and their videos were removed from the internet. And one of the ongoing mysteries is the exact location of this facility. Urban explorers follow an unwritten rule. You never actually reveal the precise locations, but fragments of information in the comments always paint a picture. And the site is confirmed to be in Changchun, Jilin province, and apparently
Obviously alleged, not confirmed.
it's an underground facility, possibly a former air raid shelter or military installation converted for medical use. These bodies weren't from evil experiments, but rather human specimens abandoned at air raid shelter by an ordinary medical school.
Yeah, this footage doesn't seem familiar outside of the pool, so this might actually be a new person talking about this abandoned place with this pool in it. And what they're talking about is the one that everyone else has seen. Because I've seen, if this isn't the original guy, I've seen the original guy coming here and looking at the pools over who knows how many years. I feel like there was a guy originally, and those videos were uncensored-ish, but then like newer people talking about it had more censored versions of it. Now we have this person who is just an empty pool. So maybe this is a new guy, and the one I'm thinking of is the one that actually has the corpses and whatnot in it.
But again, an ordinary medical school doesn't quite explain the scale of what was found, or why it was simply abandoned, rather than properly disposed of. This once abandoned laboratory has been cleaned up. It can still be explored.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the symbols on the wall, that gurney thing, all the floor shots, but the pool I know of. So yeah, this might actually be a new guy. So it's weird that he's commenting on this. I'm guessing maybe those other people were erased off the internet, but they are preserved somewhere on YouTube videos of these compilation videos, so you can just look for that somewhere. They're probably on maybe Lazy Masquerade's channel, Nick Crowley's video, Nexpo's video. Like, just go look through all their backlog. You'll see the original pool video there somewhere.
Explored, but the disturbing evidence is gone, removed by authorities, or hidden from public view. But it still begs the question of what exactly happened in that underground facility, and we may never know the full truth.
That does look like that's a skull. I just saw that. That's a skull there.
Was it a poorly managed medical school, or was it something far darker? And the video itself left thousands of netizens online filled with the same horror and confusion, and unfortunately, we'll never know the actual truth.
What if it's like best case scenario and it's just like one of those cosplay buildings? I don't know what they're called, but I know there's buildings where they have a bunch of different scenes to go take pictures at. And what if there's just some sort of elaborate horror themed cosplay room? It'd probably be like a set of rooms, right, that all connect to each other to create this creepy scene. Or maybe it could be just an entire building dedicated to like a horror theme. Question mark. It's not like they can tell you where it's at, right? So what if it's just that I mean, again, best case scenario, so that there is no harm or violence or whatever had happened here. People aren't going missing because they're talking about it. Maybe it's just a cosplay room, cosplay background room. I don't know what they're called. The barbell that crushed a life. Oof.
Gyms are places of strength, of discipline, of control, but sometimes
We have a 3D render for this?
just one mistake is all it takes. In Henan, China, a young man walked into a gym. He wasn't a reckless kid, and he wasn't inexperienced at all. He was actually a personal trainer, but just within 29 seconds, a normal workout routine would turn into his last moments alive. His name is Zhao Hu, 27 years old, a fitness enthusiast who had turned his passion into his career. For 4 years, he worked as a personal trainer after graduating college, obsessed with exercise. He often returned to the gym on his lunch breaks, even after finding another job. Friends said he never cared much for dating. He truly only cared about lifting, and he even had his own key to the facility, as he preferred training alone. But on July 3rd, 2023, that decision costed him everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, no, you do not do this stuff by yourself.
The camera in the corner captures it all. Zhao Hu loaded the barbell with more than 100 kilograms, about 50 kilos on each side. He laid flat, gripped the shaft, and began to press. He started off strong, but his arms started to falter. He tried to rack the bar, but it dropped onto his chest, and then rolled to his neck. And for 25 agonizing seconds, he struggled. He arched his back. He twisted.
Why are we just like showing this? Can you censor the entire thing? Question mark? Or like not actually show us this at all?
He even reached to unbuckle his lifting belt, desperate for air. His body spasmed violently as the weight bore down. And then, he went still. But by the time anyone had arrived, it was already too late. Zhao Hu had been alone in the gym, pinned to the bench by his own barbell. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors couldn't save him. Later that day, the video of his final moments began to spread. Clips leaked onto Weibo, QQ, and other sites. And the tragedy quickly went viral, turning a private death into something public. And according to the gym owner, Zhao Hu wasn't reckless. He was extremely dedicated, loyal, and he trained there for years, always pushing himself. But the owner also admitted that Zhao Hu's obsession blinded him. He never trained with a partner. He never used a spotter. He thought he could handle any weight. And the irony behind the entire situation is just devastating. A man so careful with his craft, undone by the one precaution he didn't take. And throughout China, the case became a cautionary tale. Social media filled with debates. Should gyms even allow alone training? And should the equipment be locked when no staff are present? But it also raised a very dark question. Why was the video even leaked? Who decided to make a...
Yeah, who had the video? Because I was thinking that right now, like, because it shot like all his other videos of him just training. So someone had to take his phone after he was deceased and then upload it to the internet, question mark. And who knows if it's actually even censored, or if like Question is the one censoring it, or he got a censored version. It's like literally someone went out of the way to get the video, even to write RIP on it, because it didn't. It might have been the video that had RIP on it. So they got his phone, got a hold of his phone after he died, edited the video, and then posted the video online.
man's death into shareable content. And for his friends, the truth was unbearable. Even the gym owner broke down, saying that he only knew exercise. He never thought about anything else. And now his entire life is not remembered for strength, but for a single moment of weakness. And in the end, this wasn't just a small accident. It's a quick reminder of fragility, of how quickly control can slip away. Because even a trained professional that had probably lifted that bar thousands of times before only took 29 seconds of struggle. And the barbell that was meant to build his body ended up taking his life.
And that's it, I'm assuming. Don't know if you want the end to go. Yeah, I'm waiting to see what this end. Yeah, it's just this. Yep, that was that. I wonder if there's some sort of like better way to have these things work like that. Like maybe have, I don't know, ropes tied to them all the way to the top. So if it begins to crush, you can press something that then pulls the bars up. I don't know. Like and away from you, or some sort of collapsing mechanism on the seat that you're laying on that puts you into a position that stops the bar from crushing you or asphyxiating you, whatever. I think there has to be a more safer way to design these benches so that this thing doesn't happen. Question mark, you know, with people who are choosing to do this stuff alone, even though they shouldn't be doing it alone. Oh, yep, that was that video. Some interesting stuff here. I mean, sinkholes. I hate sinkholes. Like in these taxis, allegedly, again, starting 2026, which it is 2026, we're going to have a bunch of these AI-driven Ubers over here. I don't know by who. I don't know if it's going to be Elon or whatever, you know, a cybercar nonsense, or it could be some other company, but apparently they're going to be all over here in starting this year. I don't know exactly when, but I guess by the end of the year we'll see what the landscape over here looks like with all these robots running around. And this one is just the abandoned laboratory is interesting because I have, and I assume anyone who knows anything about this has seen this laboratory many a time, either in an expo video from several years ago, or a Crowley video from several years ago, or Masquerade video from several years ago. Someone out there has footage of this talking about, you know, the corpse and stuff. Again, I don't know if they're saying other people were saying that, but from the videos that I watched on this, the person who was taking the video was the one saying that there was corpses in the pool, and that's why it was censored. So it might be more legit than you think, because this isn't the same person. There's another person coming back and saying, hey, someone else has recorded this place before and they had corpses. which I think that's what I've seen. I haven't seen this guy's videos. I've seen the prior people, his predecessors, come to this place and apparently, disappear because they're not allowed to be there. Question mark. So yeah, this is a classic kind of like horror thing, this laboratory, experimenting laboratory, whatever it could be. Yep, that is going to be it for today. So yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers or think about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we can watch them and subscribers. And over here we have a throne now as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. Hey cuties, thanks for watching. Tune to the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Another do. See ya.